Discover how to leverage your personal brand to build thriving businesses in today's episode with Kevin Halliday. And what's so special about Kevin is that he's an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur of multiple businesses in construction, hospitality, fitness, entertainment, and he's made them all successful. So first question is, what's the secret to your success and how did you manage to leverage your personal brand to build thriving businesses?
Welcome to Awakened Titans podcast with Lily Patrascu. Mind-blowing conversations with influential business titans sharing how you can manifest abundance, love, joy, success through quantum awakening, quantum manifestation, quantum healing, quantum miracles, exponential business growth, and innovative products and services.
You know what? Thank you very much for having me on your podcast because I really appreciate this. And you know what? One of the most important things about building personal brand, you actually have to build an absolutely amazing business. And building business and making things happen is you have to have that first vision, that first desire to actually want to make it happen. So everything we started from my first business as basically in Spindle stairs and railings that I own, but I had never ever installed a railing ever before in my life. Now, when you think about this, you think that you actually have to be good at something to be great at something. The idea is not to actually do the product. You hire great people to do it. So what I would do is basically my first sale was in the Home Depot parking lot. And when I sold my first sale in the Home Depot parking lot, I had to find people to install that product. Now, it wasn't meant that I was the installer. What it meant is I had to get great people to basically install that product for me. I had to have the vision. And as an entrepreneur, you actually had to figure out what your gifts and abilities are. And mine were about bringing great people together. If I could bring great people together that were good at one thing, then all of a sudden I could be great at what I was good at. And that was bringing people. Now, it didn't matter the companies that I owned or what I did. The first company that I owned was in construction. And I had never done a railing, but I made sure I had installers. I had the right people. I was terrible at accounting. So what do? You hire great accountants. The best accountants are going there. And then from one sale to the next, we became Canada's largest railing company within 5 years. Profit 100 companies. Now, was it because I was that good at it? No, it was because I had great people. The vision was up here that I had, but I made sure that everybody was responsible for what they were doing. But what had happened, what was really magnificent about being an entrepreneur and also about building this foundation of greatness is because if you can control the labor, you can control markets. And so what does that mean? Well, what that meant was that if I can control labor, all of a sudden I have 100 staff and I'm creating basically stairs and railings. What happened was I was able to create other businesses overnight because I already had the infrastructure of the accounting. I already had the infrastructure of basically construction. Now, it didn't matter what the commodities were. It mattered that I had the labor component. So I was able to make different widgets and different companies. Now, when you look at COVID, you remember when COVID hit, the whole world blew up and entrepreneurs are going, oh my gosh, this is the worst thing ever. But it was actually the greatest thing ever because we were all on an equal playing field. Great entrepreneurs and great mindsets think about where they are today and they ask yourself a better question of curiosity, where you're at. What can you do? If we're all equal, now we're able to create new wealth and new opportunities everywhere in the world. I was able to create a company called Plexi Canada. And Plexi Canada was all the plexiglass that you're seeing. We manufactured that. And we started that basically sitting in a shed, because I have a shed talk podcast. And the purpose of that was we built isolation chambers at the same time looking, well, how do we communicate better if we're isolated? So what I did is I created urban studio sheds. And these are sheds that you sit in and you do a podcast from, or a yoga studio, they're heated floors, and you're able to build something totally different. But we had the infrastructure of the labor component to be able to go to the next level, to the next level, to the next level. And we kept building off of that.
Wow.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Yes. So tell us about the impact of leveraging your personal brand on creating thriving businesses.
Well, that's a great question because one of the greatest things when I was growing and building my companies, so Spindle Stairs Around Urban Studio Sheds, I was building all these companies. But there was one thing missing. Now, what's going to happen when I retire? Okay, or I sell these business? Well, who do I become? Well, am I Kevin the railing guy? Am I Kevin the Plexi guy? Am I Kevin this guy? Well, wait a second. No, it's not about that. It's actually about when I'm all said and done, I'm not just going to retire and be on the golf course and travel and live over here and do that. No, you need to have a brand. So what's the brand? So I looked at it and said, well, what's Kevin Halliday? Let's make sure that I control it. Now, you always ask yourself on a branding perspective or anything that you do, think about what you would do today that'll affect you 5, 10, 15 years from now. So you'll love this story because what had happened was, and this was the creation of a personal brand 15 years ago. So what happened when you have a .com, .ca? I purchased my name, kevinhalliday.com. Well, I did that for my whole family back in the day, understanding that the website's going to do this, it's going to do this, it's going to do this. And remember, websites were coming out, and guess what the most important thing on websites were when they first came out? Was porn. Porn was the biggest thing out there, and they had to basically clamp it down so you wouldn't have that anymore. Thank God they did that. But you're able to take your brand, and so kevinhalliday.com, and I kept it and I shelved it. It was like $11. My kids, I have theirs put away as well. But then I also decided to buy all my competitors' .coms. I bought anybody that I could think of by the .com names or the .ca. .ca is for Canada as a business. .com is worldwide. So once I had purchased that, that was the first step on personal branding because I had that. Well, I knew I'd use my name eventually, but I already had it going. Now, as you start to get older and all of a sudden our companies are being very successful, it started to look at in the last 5 years, okay, there became a new way of branding yourself is that you'd have to spend about $200,000 a year just to brand yourself. Oh, well, we got to get television. We got to buy this. And it would cost you thousands and thousands of dollars to put ads to do this, which was crazy. So you didn't see much that was happening about people personal branding themselves. So you got your Elon Musks and your Jeff Bezos and are you their personal brands? Well, you look at where we're at today, you can do a podcast for under $100. You can be an influencer under $300, and you can, through YouTube channels, through everything else, you can actually create revenue. This is the only time in history that we actually have access that we can take our product and our widget ourselves and take it worldwide. So what I had done was said, okay, well, here's Kevin Halliday. I've got my Spindles, stairs, and railings. I've got all these out there. How do I take myself and 10x it? So basically, once I had that, I started to basically have my webpage done. From there, started to make sure my Instagrams were done. Now, when you do something, you have to make sure that you do it absolutely over the top. I hired great people. So then all of a sudden you hire great people to do great things because your past dictates your future. So when I did Spindle, Stairs, and Railings, I hired great accountants. I hired great installers. Guess what I do today? I hire great creatives. I hire great people that know how to do Instagram. They're dialed in. I have guys that do my production for my podcast, my productions for all my YouTube channels. Everything is dialed in. Why? Because I get to build something quicker, faster, better than that's ever been done before. Go back 1 year ago, before AI came in, people were doing what we call reels. And if you're listening to this and you see it on YouTube, reels took forever to do and they were costly. They would cost you like $150 to do 2 reels. You can get reels now for like $5. Like they're inexpensive. Opus Clips, like these guys, they're doing it very inexpensive, but you're able to get your message out faster, quicker, better. AI has actually been a game changer in the last year. So how crazy is this not to do your own personal brand at a low cost and be credible? I wrote a book, The Art of Spindle, Stairs, and Railings. Why did I do that? And I wrote it 15 years ago. Just self-published it about 5 years ago. And the purpose was to create credibility of myself, which is great. I'm the credible because I can do this. But that was the first step of the next step of personal branding. But we are able to take it one step further. Your YouTube channel, every single part. So the wheel, so you have magazines, you have your podcasting, you have your YouTube channels. Everything has to correlate and contact together so that you can build it out. The most inexpensive way of doing it, why would you not build personal brand as an individual? You don't have to be the guy with the $1 million. Build a brand around yourself, and then all of a sudden you get to control the narrative. You get to control how it's said, what it said, and where it goes. What power? That creates where you're going to go in the future, and you'll make tons and tons of money. It's kind of like a life hack, but it's an easy hack. It's just called consistency. Just do it. There's no quick and easy way of doing it. You just jump in and do it.
Thank you. What are the most effective strategies for branding yourself, aside from what you just mentioned, or out of the ones that you just mentioned? What did you find were the most effective ones in terms of bringing revenue as well as elevating your personal brand?
The thing about personal brand, and I'm going to put this to elevate, is you better have a thick back. Okay, and what I mean by a thick back is that there's people that can brand themselves and there's people that cannot. And there's a reason why we have to ask you that first question, or anybody that question. And that's where the success comes in for someone to do it. If you read your own articles, your own social media, and you actually have to respond to your social media, somebody likes you, hates you, and then all of a sudden you're feeling bad, don't do it. Make sure that you're okay with what other people say, because you're going to get the imposter syndrome on your shoulder. You're going to get that guy there that's going to say, oh, you can't do it, you're not worth it, you're not all that. Are you kidding? You're worth everything that you do, because you just got to do it. Worst thing that can happen? Absolutely nothing can happen to you. Now, what's the key? When you're doing personal branding or anything, it's consistency. There is no easy hack. There is no easy way of doing it. It's make sure you have integrity. And what I mean integrity means if you're posting something and you have to doctor it up to look pretty, don't do it. Have somebody else post for you, give them the pictures and say, pick 5, you just do it. They actually get to see who you are as an individual, and it becomes integrity. So what's the greatest part of that part is somebody looking at you through a different lens, and that gets your growth 10 times better because they're doing it, not you, because you will never post what you're looking at. You'd go, oh, I would never post that. Well, that's not integrity. You have to put yourself uncomfortable. If you're uncomfortable doing your post and you're uncomfortable with doing it, that means you've got the right one. That means you're doing it right. Oh, but they're going to say this bad. It doesn't matter. Don't read your own headlines. LinkedIn is really important too. Make sure you differentiate between LinkedIn and Instagram and all your social medias, Facebook, Twitter, whatever you're using. Did I use, Twitter? There you go, X. If you're using it, make sure that you have it for the proper platforms. Business, your LinkedIn. Don't put your personal on LinkedIn. Make sure that you actually have a destination to go. And then if you're using Instagram, make sure it's used. And if you're also using TikTok, make sure it's in a certain algorithm that you're using. Don't cross them over on a personal brand level, making sure that you're telling the same story over and over. Mine is about health, wealth, and mindset. And about Kevin Halliday brand. Keep in the lane. Don't be what we call as a star salesman. You're over here, you're over here, you're over here, you're over here. Connect the dots and you're a star salesman. You need to have intentional growth and intentional purpose of where you're going. Have the storytelling and design it 3 months in advance so you know what you're doing. And I call it the 5 Ps. Proper preparation prepares proper performance. If you're doing that, you cannot fail. You have to have a destination to go to, or you'll never get there.
Thank you. Tell us some of your most impactful personal branding campaigns that you have done for your several businesses.
Great question. This is the greatest thing to do. Always think outside the box. If somebody's already done it, it's already too late. It's like you reading something in the paper. Oh, I read it in the paper. This was happening. We're already too late. So understanding what the market is all about, and this is where trending comes in. So when we talk about how to be ahead of the market, is what's trending, where it's going. So what I used to do is I used to get these big billboards and banners set up, and I'd put them out there. And there was a labor shortage in the construction industry. So what I used to do is put up a banner and it would go, free beer, and it'd be huge. And then just underneath it would say, just kidding, now hiring. We had the news media in there. We had everybody in there asking the question, going, oh my gosh, you did something different. Now, this was years ago. Now, I'm telling the story right now, and you're going, oh, that sounds pretty good, but we do that now. Yes, and we call it guerrilla marketing or whatever you want to call it. But the thing is, always be ahead of the curve. Be ahead of the idea. Create curiosity in your head and always think about, what if? How can I do that? What does it look like if I did it like this? What is my creative ability? So whenever I would do when I'm going to do personal branding, how does it taste? How does it feel? You want to have people have a feeling. It's great to look at a pretty picture and that's nice, but what's the feeling they get? So when I create a podcast or I create any social media campaigns I do, what's the feeling that it gets? What does it really do for me? Now, I do bodybuilding and I compete because I was 240 pounds. I had sleep apnea, gout, cancer, could barely walk, out of shape, making a lifestyle change. And the question had to come back to myself was that, okay, if I can't make a change for myself, I have to love myself, be good about who I am. That gave me the perspective about going to another level, thinking outside the box, asking better questions. And also when it came down to campaigns or anything to do it, what are my competitors doing? And how do I 10 times that? What's new with technology that's allowing it? Now, be cautious. You're going to have 1,000 people coming to you and say, hey, there's this new thing, AI, that just came out here. We can do this, we can do this, we can do this. We're all that. And I go back to the same statement I always say, you're all that in a bag of chips. There's a reason why it's a bag of chips, because it's always the same. Now, the idea is watch what they do, how they do it, and wait for the second person. Because the second person corrected the first guy's mistakes, and then you jump on board. Sometimes it's great to be first on the AI and all that, but within 2 weeks, you'll see the change and what's happening with social media, branding, and all that comes different. Try to lead it. Now, try not to watch a lot of, and I'll use this as an example, podcasting or videos out there. Do the fact is, go with what's in your heart. Go with what you think's natural, because if you fail, it's okay. Because no one's doing what you believe in and what's inside. Oh, yeah, but they're doing this, they're doing this. You don't want to do what they're doing. You want to do what's inside of you. And it may be so offside, and I don't mean offside in a bad way. It's offside that you're actually going to change the way advertising, marketing, branding is done, because you are true to inside of what you've seen. Now, if you're watching somebody else do it, well, you're just copying, okay? And sometimes that's okay. We call that R&D. Are you familiar with what R&D is?
Yes. Research and development.
No, it's called rip off and duplicate. And a lot of people, let's call it what it is, right? So people see, they have this idea. So everybody's out there just, okay, I'm going to do that. I'll rip off and duplicate it and 10 times that again. That happens all the time. And as long as you were all aware of it, that's where it goes. That's why it's easy. It's easy to be number two. It's hard to be number one, because you're always flipping back and forth. You got to come up with the next one, and you know everybody's following you and everyone's trending to get you, and they're hitting for you, and that's a good sign.
Thank you. Tell us the worst mistakes you've seen entrepreneurs do in terms of leveraging their personal brand to build thriving businesses.
A lot of entrepreneurs, the biggest failure that they do is by not doing. The day you don't do something is the day you lost. They are called the woulda, shoulda, coulda, would all over themselves. If they're not, and you're not actually going to actually do something, you'll never know that you failed. We know as entrepreneurs and in branding and everything, if you're not trying it, you're never going to know. If you're following somebody else, you're always going to be second. When it comes to branding and who you are as an individual, think outside the box and make mistakes. Fall down. Make sure that you get knocked down, because the bottom line is, once you're knocked down, it's not if you get up, it's how fast you get up. And in personal branding, it's ego. And I'm going to tell you right now, when you get into ego, it hurts. Because and it's lonely at the top, because when you're building your personal brand and you're doing it, you have to actually tell everybody, pound your chest and say, you know, I'm the best there ever been, best there ever was, and the best that's ever going to be. And I think that's what we call a wrestling. Said that guy, Bret Hart said that, I believe it was. But the idea is that be prepared to fall down, and then rinse, repeat, and do it again and again and again. And no matter if it's personal branding or a business, whoever gets the most falls and most wins getting up wins the battle. And always look at changing it. Don't do the same thing over. Just change it. Do this a little bit different. Do this a little bit, and enjoy the journey. And truly sit back and enjoy, wow, I never realized. And with technology, again, I go back podcasting this, get on board with it. Start doing it. Start talking to people. Communicate.
Thank you. When it comes to building thriving businesses that are not all in the same field, how do you build an authentic and aligned brand? So for example, in your case, you have businesses of so many different types that have nothing to do with each other. So what do you recommend entrepreneurs do?
Well, it's like this. I can run a hospital, but I can't do brain surgery. So the first thing that you do is, when you have a great idea and all of a sudden it comes in, I see this great idea, is find out what the connection is. Now in business, because I owned a business or have a business that had multiple employees, okay, a couple hundred employees, the difference is I have an added advantage. And why is that? Because I'm able to turn on a business in a dime, meaning I can move labor from here to here. It doesn't matter the commodity or widget, because remember, business is business. We all have the same problems. We have problems with labor, we have problems with HR, we have a problem with cash flow. Every business has the same problem. It's just a different widget. So what you do is you make sure you have the expert that's actually in there that is absolutely amazing, and make sure that they're there. And then all of a sudden, make sure you're feeding them what they need and let them do their job. Great leaders do not micromanage. Now, as hard as this is, and we own these businesses and we have great teams and our leadership teams are in place, yes, we like to put our fingers in it. Yes, we totally do. Now, this is where the personal branding comes in. Because I do the personal branding for myself, and I step in there and I have a team doing that, it forces me to make sure I don't touch the other businesses and I let them do it, because I am actually the deterrent. I, as an owner, am actually holding the companies back because of my vision. Yes, I can have a vision of growth and mindset and be the best we possibly can, but it doesn't mean I'm the surgeon. So multiple business, like I'm in what we call is the hospitality industry. We have one of the best restaurants. Well, we do have the best restaurant in Calgary, nightclub. I don't run it. I'm like the investor type, and I'm there. They do it. I'm what they call as the ghost. So what I do is I see what their ghosts are. I see, oh, there's this aspect over here, because they don't know construction. Okay, they don't know fitness. They know restaurant. So the guys that are in there, they know how to run it. I don't need to know that. Now, when they ask me a question, well, what about over here? I know this part. Stick in your wheelhouse. Be great at that. Don't be the jack of all trades and a master of none. Be great and precise of what you're doing. Be that sniper and make sure you have the right people in place, because they will make you look great. Hire great people because they can only take you to the next level. And understanding, if you're an entrepreneur and you're going to do this, and I strongly focus on getting the right people on the bus. Know what your limitations are, know where your weaknesses are, and don't hire the same weaknesses as you. Hire somebody different. And it'll be hard. You're going to be clashing, but that's why it's like a relationship, and as a business, they all work hand in hand.
Thank you. What kind of tools and apps and routines and habits do you recommend entrepreneurs leverage to build a personal brand that enables them to create a thriving business?
The first thing that you have to do is when you get up in the morning is make sure you're grounded. Understand where you are that particular day and do a visualization where you're at, because it could be personal branding, where you're going, and wherever you're going. You need to make sure that you have the groundwork of grounding yourself to make yourself that day present. A lot of people will have their lists of 10 things that they have to do. They'll open up their app and they'll look at their phone in the morning. They'll go, okay, I got to do this. Time out. Just close it up for a second, and then just all of a sudden, just take a time, take a deep breath, take a yoga move or whatever you want to do, and just take a time out and just kind of center yourself to where you are in the morning and how you're going to visualize your day. Now, once you've done that visualization, which is the key component, you'll open up whatever your day timer is, or I use day timer, that's old, but your apps, and then all of a sudden you should have them already prioritized from the night before and where you're at, and then just make sure that you have time. Now, as an entrepreneur, there's one thing that I strongly recommend for any entrepreneur, and I'm going to talk about this, and it doesn't matter about personal branding or where you're at, as everything, it's all about your health. Now, the greatest thing that you'll ever have, and always have your health check, meaning if you go to the gym, if you have a fitness routine or whatever that is, has to be done during business hours. Remember, your fitness, your health is your job. If you do not have your fitness and you do not have your health, you do not have a job. You do not have anything. So what that means is you don't schedule it after hours or before hours. You actually discover, and that you actually put it in during, say, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So 3 to 5 or 3 to 4, whatever you want. Schedule it in there like a board meeting, that you have to go to the gym or you have to do something, if it's yoga, meditation for yourself, that has to be done during work hours because it's a job. I say to people like this, when you get older, or if you're younger, you know one thing's for sure. If you had cancer, if you had chemo, or if something that was wrong with you and you had to go to the doctor, you would never miss that appointment, because you have to go to the doctor, get your chemo because you have cancer. You'll go there every day at 3 o'clock regardless. We call those non-negotiables. So then all of a sudden you go there, you feel like crap, you're finished, you feel like crap. Well, why wouldn't you be proactive and go to the gym? Yes, it sucks to go to the gym. It sucks to do the stuff that we're doing. Oh, I got another meeting. Everything's more important, but it's not. Look after your health, and then all of a sudden do it during business hours, and it'll change your mindset. Then all of a sudden your body will start to change, your mind will start to change, and it's an interesting concept. When you actually get your mind focused on your workout during the day, during work hours, because you're in a work environment in your head, and all of a sudden you got this, and you're busy. What happens is your endorphins, everything, all of a sudden collects all at once in your body, and then all of a sudden you release them from your workout. But then you become what we call connected in the social pipeline. You ever seen the movie or the book The Secret? All of a sudden you become cognizant of everything around you. You become self-aware. You become self-aware of what's happening because you're in the mindset of working out, but you're in the mindset of business because it's during business hours. And then if you have your meeting, somebody wants to have a meeting with you, have them have the meeting with you at the gym. They have to come to the gym to have the meeting. Then all of a sudden you create wealth with inside of your head with them and you do something that nobody else has ever done. And you've never left the gym or left somewhere feeling crappy, and you've closed the sale, you've done something absolutely amazing. And then when you're done your workout, if you have to do a sales call, go do that call. Do that something that makes you feel very uncomfortable. And this is very uncomfortable to do it because a lot of people aren't used to diving into a 2:00 afternoon workout thinking, oh, no, I'm wasting time. No, it's the best time you'll ever spend.
Wow, that's fascinating. Tell us about the connection between health, mindset, and wealth, and how does that connection lead onto enhancing your personal brand?
So think of it like this. If you don't have your health, you don't have wealth, and then you won't have mindset. All three are interconnected. Now, if you're chasing wealth, meaning, oh, I got to make this much money, guess what? You'll never be wealthy, okay? You'll never have enough. There's no such thing as enough. You'll never do that. Once you realize that you have your health, that you're looked after, you become connected. Then all of a sudden, while you're connected, your mindset that you're creating opportunities, that you've opened up the Pandora box, and then now your mind says, okay, I got to do this, and then you start focusing on the things that are important to you that you actually have to concentrate on, how you do it, meaning you're not procrastinating. Mindset is about having the mindset to be able to move forward without procrastinating, not doing something, saying, well, I'll get to it tomorrow. Do it today. Build that mind that you're moving forward all the time, like Groundhog Day. I'll use this and this is where the branding comes into play. Have you ever heard of the movie Groundhog Day?
No.
I'll have to ask. Oh, you haven't heard of it? So there's a movie out there, and the older people know, and you're probably going to watch it this weekend. So Groundhog Day is with Bill Murray in it, and it was about Groundhog Day, and the same day, he played the same day over and over and over, and he's going, oh, here it is. And it's kind of like that one movie with Tom Cruise in it. Remember, he did the same thing. Now think about it like this. We have the same day was what we call Groundhog Day or Tom Cruise's Day. I can't remember what the name of the movie is. But what happens is it took them 50 years to repeat that day over to learn a new exercise or a new opportunity or how to use the gun, how to fight or how to do whatever. Bill Murray was all about how to do ice sculpture or how to meet this girl, whatever that storytelling was. So it took 50 years. Like us and everything we do, our mind is set. So we go to work the same way over and over. We do the same things over. Just change the way you go to work. Change the outcome of how you do things. And then all of a sudden, it will start to look different. It will start to create opportunities in your head, and you start building off of it. So branding, sales calls, starting new businesses, you'll see ideas that you never, ever knew you had, even though you're doing the same thing. Just change the way you go to work. Just change that little thing in the morning. If you make your bed, don't make your bed. Okay, and that's the opposite where people say, oh, no, do this. Make sure you make your bed. No. Do something that you wouldn't normally do, but change it every day. Then all of a sudden your mindset's going to shift, and all of a sudden new opportunity, as long as you're moving forward with integrity and intention.
Thank you. Tell us about what motivated you to look so great and the impact of that on your personal brand and the impact of your personal brand on your thriving businesses.
Well, what happens is that if you truly don't look after yourself, you can't look after anybody else. That's the bottom line. And what had happened was, as I was getting older and I had multiple businesses, I was 240 pounds. I had sleep apnea. Okay, so you had to wear a mask, severe. Overweight, I had gout. So we call that the King's disease. So what that means is it's too much Purina, and then all of a sudden too much wine, too much beer, too much everything. And then all of a sudden, high blood pressure and thing. Now, I used to go, this is the crazy stuff. So I used to have money, and I used to still have money. I used to go out, and I used to get a plane, and we used to go to England and party in England for the weekend and come back. Oh, that's great. We're all that. And it was awesome, right? But what the interesting thing about it is when everything was all said and done, where am I going to be? What am I going to look at? And here I'm turning 50 years old. I was turning 50, had these multiple businesses doing well. But what was my purpose? And then all of a sudden it became clear. It's like, yeah, I've got money. I can do this. But where am I going to be? My kids are like, okay, they're growing up and they're going, well, okay, yes, and I'm drinking. And then once I decided, I said, wait a second, I want to compete. I need to like really focus on myself. I wonder what would happen if I truly took 1 year and actually took my mind and did to the extreme health, wealth, mind, like really health wise. Okay. So what's the hardest thing to do? And I said, you know what? I'm 240 pounds. You know what? I'm going to compete, okay, in a professional bodybuilding competition. Now that sounds crazy. So somebody had shown me a picture of somebody that did. I said, you mean I could actually do that? Yeah, you could if you really wanted to. I said, all right. So here I am. I'll do it. What does it take? And it's not about the bodybuilding competition. It's about you have to eat. You eat, sleep. You can't drink. Like you have to be. Your whole life is around that part of it. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to do that. I'm going to make sure I'm in bed at 8 o'clock. I'm going to make sure I eat properly. So I hired a trainer. I phoned him up. I said, hey, Leo, guess what? You don't know me, but I want to compete in, and he's a WMBF coach and the president. I said, I want to compete in a professional bodybuilding competition worldwide. Can you actually get me in it? He says, sure. Of course, they're going to say yes. Are you kidding? Here's this guy overweight. And are you kidding? They're going to get $1,000 here and $1,000 there. Are you kidding? They're going to say yes in a heartbeat. Why not? It's sales. But what was interesting, I said, what I say is what I do. So remember, anything you do and you say it, okay, it becomes reality. And yes, I was overweight. But what happened was I had to focus on it. Then all of a sudden the food, nutrition came in. That came in. Now the mindset over the year became absolutely, guess what? I got rid of gout. I can't believe it. I got rid of gout. I don't have gout anymore. And then getting blood tests. Then all of a sudden I don't have sleep apnea anymore. Then all of a sudden the realization came that you had to truly love yourself. You had to truly like yourself inside to make the change, because change would never happen. Once I realized, you know what? I'm not a bad person. You know what? It's okay that I'm this side. Yeah, I'm successful here. But you know what? If I don't make a change, I won't be able to see the future. Like, how am I going to be successful in the future and at 50? And then all of a sudden, I can't even enjoy my health. I can't enjoy things that I have and do. I work all the time and do this. It came to the point of all of a sudden, I had to love myself. And once I did that, then I could do anything. Then all of a sudden, I was able to create new businesses, new opportunity. And then all of a sudden, now personal branding. Are you kidding? I'm going to tell every single person about my personal branding point, because you know what? It's health, wealth, and mindset. I'm going to tell the guys over 55 years old that, you know what? Life doesn't stop at 50, 55, where the largest suicide rate amongst men, this blew me away. The largest suicide among men between 55 and 75, it's massive. It's a huge suicide rate in between there because men don't have a purpose. They're communicating wrong. The guys between 55 and 75, when we were younger, what would happen is they couldn't cry. You know, mental health was not an issue. You know what, just suck it up and just do it. Here we are, fast forward to where we are today, mental health is important. But us guys are left in the dark. And it's like, we're there to fight for ourselves. We're 55 years old. The guys are in there, so then they're out of shape. And I call them my avatars. My avatars are guys that have recently divorced. All of a sudden, they've gone through 2 marriages. Yes, they have money, but the first went to the first wife, second wife. They have a couple kids here and there. They're out of shape, drinking too much, love to get into shape, listen to podcasts, listen to motivational books to get them, but they're just not there and just can't find purpose. The idea is where I came into place, where the personal branding came, because it had to be, was it self-centering? Yes, I wanted to build my brand to be self-centering, but I needed to give back to others to show that it can be done today for the future. And that's where my personal brand became Kevin Halliday, Health, Wealth, and Mindset, over 55, to help men understand that it's okay. We can get in shape. You can define who you are today for the future and build wealth again. But again, if you don't have your health, and then you don't have the mindset to go to the next level, because that's where you train you, then wealth will follow behind you. It follows, everything follows in line.
Thank you. Tell us where entrepreneurs can find you.
Well, all entrepreneurs can find me. All you got to do is Google me, kevinhalliday.com. I'm everywhere in the world, and I did check that out because when I was in the Philippines doing talks there and talking to people, I said, okay, how does the brand work? Can I make it worldwide? And that was the first thing you got to do, is say, can I make it worldwide real quick? So kevinhalliday.com. Also on my Shed Talk, it's Kevin Halliday, Shed Talk with Kevin Halliday. And or you can even follow me on my Instagrams and all social medias and my YouTube channel as well.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential business titans, providing you with the insights to awaken to your full potential, so you can get paid to be yourself, find true happiness, and manifest anything you desire.